U.S. President Joe Biden defended his decision to pull troops out of Afghanistan and warned the Taliban not to interfere with evacuations. For more, let's get over live to our correspondent, Sean Callebs, who joins us from Washington. So, Sean, what did President Biden say?
Well, I think a lot of the world was really waiting to hear exactly what Joe Biden was going to say about the way the U.S. withdrawal played out, and certainly the chaos and gut-wrenching images that we all saw from the airport and other places within Afghanistan really came out to fruition. Biden basically said, look, this was his decision, that the buck stops with him. He went on to say that the United States has been in Afghanistan more than 20 years, and no matter how, excuse me, how long the excuse me, something in my throat. No matter how long the U.S. was going to be in that area, nothing was going to change. The Afghan troops were never going to rally and take on the Taliban, that they never had the appetite for that fight. And in the end, Biden basically blamed former President Donald Trump for negotiating the initial deal, not with the government of Afghanistan, but only with the Taliban. He also blamed the troops in Afghanistan, not the U.S. troops, but the Afghan troops. This is what he had to say about the way the U.S. withdrawal has unfolded and the chaos that became of it.
We will defend our people with devastating force if necessary. Our current military mission will be short in time, limited in scope, and focused in its objectives. Get our people and our allies as safely as quickly as possible. And once we have completed this mission, we will conclude our military withdrawal. We will end America's longest war after 20 long years of bloodshed. The events we're seeing now are sadly proof that no amount of military force would ever deliver a stable, united, secure Afghanistan, as known in history as the graveyard of empires.
Yeah, indeed, the way this entirely played out, a lot of frustration with the international community, the concern about the instability that is going to be in Afghanistan in the coming weeks and months ahead. And secondly, when Biden took office, there were 2,500 U.S. troops there. He said he wanted to get all of those troops out before September 11th, but he's had to send thousands more back in to try and control the chaotic situation at the airport. So right now, there are going to be some 6,000 U.S. troops as they try to get the remaining Americans out of the country. And also, there have been thousands and thousands of Afghans who put their lives in jeopardy, put their families' lives in jeopardy to work with the United States military while they're over there, either working as translators, working as fixers, showing them areas that are safe, perhaps areas that aren't safe, explaining the lay of the land, the way that the whole tribal mentality within that country is played out. And thousands of those people say they cannot get out of Afghanistan, and certainly they are also people who are going to be targeted by the Taliban, Jonathan, in the days to come.
And Sean, I know you've spent some time in Afghanistan visiting that country several times over the past 20 years, so I'm curious just to get your thoughts as we watch the country fall to the Taliban.
You know, gut-wrenching is the only thing I can say. It is heartbreaking. And I had probably more than a dozen people reach out to me from Afghanistan saying, you know, we are trapped here. My sisters, my brother, my family. Is there anything you can do to help us get out? And I'd never have I felt so helpless. I called people I knew at the State Department, able to pass on emails, case numbers, visa application numbers, and hopefully that's going to do something. But I've lost touch with several of those people today, so obviously I'm concerned about their safety. Secondly, when we were there in 2019 for CGTN, we did a whole series of reports on what women stand to lose if the Taliban would, and at the time we were talking about a power-sharing agreement with the Afghan government. And we profiled a number of people who I can't imagine what they are going through today. The women who focused on human rights, they were women who worked in the parliament in Afghanistan and also worked with the U.S. and other allies that were in that country. So those people stand to lose so much. And one thing that I'm also hearing, and this breaks your heart, because if you can point to one thing that had a positive outcome over the past 20 years. The birth rate obviously improved, the live birth rate in Afghanistan. And secondly, the lives of girls and women got better, especially in terms of education and finding jobs. That is all in danger of going away overnight. And we're hearing reports that the Taliban are going through some streets looking for girls that could potentially be brides for the single Taliban members. And that kind of thing just turns your stomach. It makes you fatherly mad. It's just impossible to talk about the frustration that builds up because of that. And all of this work, I've been going there for 19 years, seeing how the country was built up from rubble after the prolonged civil war and where it is now, and knowing that all this money went into it from not just the United States, but a number of other countries as well. And the Taliban is going to take over all these facilities. And we also did stories on a number of Chinese companies that wanted to invest in Afghanistan, to give Afghanistan a way to make its own money, basically let it stand on its own 2 feet. And no matter how much money these Chinese companies were able to work with Afghanistan to develop an agreement building a railroad or mining, something of that nature, security was always the thing at the end of the day that just undid the deal. And knowing that it's going to be like that, at least in the immediate future, it is tough. We can only hope that this is not the same Taliban of the 90s, but it's probably foolish to think that. So from a personal standpoint, it's very difficult, very gut-wrenching to watch. And when you hear people say the U.S. withdrawal should have happened much differently, it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, indeed, heartbreaking moments there. Okay, Sean Callebs, live for us in Washington. Thank you.